Right, everything's back from the sink, everything's nice and clean. I have got a big issue with both of these spectrums. The plastics on the greys do turn quite a lot green, which is quite weird. I mean, you can definitely see the colour changes in that, but the better one, the grey one, which is this one here, has got, and I noticed this earlier, some dints on the front of here. So that's a little bit of an issue, and I can't do anything with that without destroying, damaging, or doing whatever with it. So these will go back together nice and clean with everything else. So that's over there. Quarter parts, yeah, I'm just going to put things back together. I can tell which goes where because that's the one that's more green than that one. So when I make a decent one and the greened one, the problem with that is the keys. You can tell which ones of these are greener than the others. So I'm going to have to put everything. That's a greener one. That's not. And I can't do anything with these because you can't retrobrite grey. Or can you? I mean, scrubbing these as much as I can. This isn't human finger grease or whatever, but it's just time what's done to these things. And if somebody does come out with an idea how to retrobrite grey materials, fine. I'm not prepared at the moment to attempt to, retrobrite grey in peroxide just to see, just to destroy. So, sorry, not going to happen. I mean, these came out okay. There's a couple of scratches on some of these. Is general scratch what does happen to these over the time anyway. So, yeah, we'll do a little bit more of a clean with isopropanol, especially with these bits here of that one. The other one's perfectly fine. It's nice. I can't really reproduce one of these because that's a very thin edge, and so are these two bits there, and oh no, three bits, one there, one there, one there. So it's difficult to put a piece of plastic in here without it looking stupid or gluing it in place. So you can see there, this is the other one, which one this one goes with. So once this is all cleaned up, there's been issues with this in the past, so I don't know what to do with that. Whether or not to try and polish things out, or I don't know. But it's always going to look like that. It's not glue, it's nothing like that, so I don't know what. But I'll give it a good polish, good clean, see what I can do. So the minute now, I need to remantle the keyboards. So there, again you can just see the grey and the green, well, barely, so I need to put these back together before I start desoldering the caps on the cassette player. And then I need to start on the main boards again, recapping, but we've still got the RAM issue as well to deal with. So I'm going to do it through a normal sort of set, put things back together, so at least I've got something to put together afterwards. So my next job, while they're in front of me, is putting these back together. So yeah, I'm not going to film it doing fast forward, that looks stupid, but yeah, it's just going to be figure out which one goes where and how, and then putting the springs behind these before I put them on. I'll make sure one's got green and one's got grey. Springs are in place. Watch out when you're doing these, because these, when you put them all in the box together, these will thread themselves around each other like crazy. Plus I actually lost one, and I think it fell out where I originally took these out. They're underneath the bench, so luckily we found it. So what you need to do, take your key. It's already got this small spring attached inside it. No need to pull that out. Is put that in the right place. Now this is a green one, good one, not so good one. And Q goes there. So just hover it over the spring, click it in place. Done. Now for the rest. Everything back in place. That's the good one. That's the slightly greened one, but it's perfectly fine. Everything's visible on there. These one just looks a little bit better. Everything's on, everything's done, everything's ready. Put the membrane and put these back together properly. Now, the one keyboard done. I'll go through the other one with you. Right. Turn it upside down. Get your membrane, which is actually in two halves, but if you can keep them together, you're fine. Like I said, do not use isopropanol on this. It will get rid of all these pen marks, because that's how they work. They'll be that way around, so these rubber bungs go into these holes here. and just line it up as it should be. A little bit of dust on it. Try and keep it clean, but not over the top. My OCD isn't that bad today. So just nice and steadily, very gently, make sure it's in the right place. Make sure both layers are lined up, which they should be. The only problem I have is that one there doesn't seem to fit on it on something. But this board will this plate will only fit on one way. So that way, no, but look for that hole there. It'll only go there. So once it's on, and you know it's in the right place, all your keys are in, just line her up, nice and gentle, no forcing, a little bit pressurised down, and then all the clips will go into place. So all in, you make sure they're all in, and we're done. What to do is screws on there for the supporting this, and there's a few other screws on there as well. I think there's only 4 on this case because 2 of these go through this and into the actual case itself. But yeah, we'll screw these together and get onto the next stage, I think. Okay, back onto the cases. Got the good one there, the not so good one there. So I'll go through one of these, putting the keyboard back in. There's only 4 screws you need. Make sure the ribbon cable's to the edge. Just drop that in place, but you make sure you just screw in 1, 2, 3, 4 screws. Now it will be, because it's not fully there, these keys stick out from the keyboard. When it's on the surface, they'll be pushed through a little bit, but just go through that anyway. It's easy enough to do. No need to go over the top tight on the plastics. Just enough for it to grip. Just watch out in case you're threading through a new thread on these, otherwise you might break the plastics with them being quite old. So one won't go through there. Why? There we go. Done, and just a bit tight. See, if you're very confused about if it is that way around or not, on the board it is on the left hand side, and when you turn it around, everything's the right way around. So I'll do the same with the other one. That means I've got 2 tops almost done. I can put the cassette parts in, but not the actual gubbins underneath it. And we need to get around to doing some more soldering pretty quickly anyway, because we're kind of losing track of ourselves on this project. So get that in there, and we're carrying on. Keyboard's back in place. Now to title the cassette deck. Now you see there's a long lip on that part there, 3 smaller bits on here. I think the middle one of this one's already been broken off, but make sure that you got this way around so that all the lip is on the bottom of the thin plastic. Just slide it underneath there, it'll just fit itself quite nicely, and just gently pull this part of plastic up while you're pushing that in, and then you're done. I'll do the same with that one in a second, but make sure this goes in. Always be careful, because these plastics are old that you're going to be potentially breaking. So just jiggle it through. Nice and steady, no rush. Corner on there doesn't seem to want to go in. Nice and easy in, because these plastic want to be in there. There's a hole there and a hole over here. So once they're in place, there, nice and steady, creates a hinge. And you move this spring over to there, then you're done. The tape deck itself will hold that down anyway. I've just realised something. There's an address on here on this. Oh, okay. I don't know if we can pick that up on camera, but yeah, this is a previous owner. This needs a lot more cleaning than I thought. So a lot of isopropanol to try and take that off. Okay. It's obviously a marker pen for coding, or just some overzealous young kid. But I can definitely see RD there for road. So yeah, we'll have to clean that off even more. We'll get on with the other one. What else is left on plastics now? I can put some things back in place, but not everything. But I need to do soldering, so let's keep plodding. Now, one cassette deck, the button's back on it again, in the right order. I'll show you how to just remantle this one. You've got your bar, you've got the part on the end there for the spring clip. This will only go in that way anyway. It will not go fully through on that side with the cassette player being up. So put it through the top, first bit, find your record button. This little notch here goes on these metal parts, but then the square part goes through the hole right down there. So it's pushed through a little bit, nice and gentle, and thread the bar through. Next one's play, which is that one. In, on, thread through. Next one, rewind, which isn't that one. Actually, it was that one. No, it isn't that one. It's that one. And then fast forward. They've all just line themselves up when they've done the eject and stop button. And then finally the pause. So again, that way around in the hole, make sure that's lipped over the top, thread it in, thread it through the hole at the end so it pushes through. Come on, there you go. Right, get your C-clip. Now there are tools for putting C-clips on, these tiny little, absolutely miniature little clips that look like a C. I'll just rest it on the top of that if I can, and you probably can't see that from where you are. And my pliers are here. Now I'll try and put it on the bottom. Let me get you in a little bit. It might be interesting, it might not, I don't know. I've got the case in the way, there we go. If you can see there, I'll try and put it on the bottom of where the pin is, and then just catch the edge of the C-clip and try and push down so it's on, clicked into place nicely and done. So that's now secure. Pause, stop, rewind, fast forward, stop, play. The cord will go down for some reason. I thought it would with the cassette in that because I just pressed on that part there. Shouldn't go down unless that part's done in. That's the tab that you break off the cassette. So these are done, and I'm ready for doing soldering time, I think. Yeah, we'll get these desoldered and resoldered, and then we'll get back to the boards eventually. Because I've still got the diodes up here. Yeah, I need to put the right way around. So desolder these, resolder. I'll do that off camera, and we will get this cracked on a bit. Now at this stage, I've got this one recapped, this is done, there's one there, there's 4 underneath. It's fine, they're all different ones anyway. I think there's 2, they're 10 ultrafarads, not quite sure what that one, but I just swapped that straight one out. Just basically take one out, put one back in. But while I'm here, let's do the easy job, shall we? This belt. Now, that one, you get a pack of 2 anyway, because they've got one big, one small. It cannot be more simpler than that. So I'll take the big one off because it's going to be in the way. It's still a little bit stretchy, but I don't think it's going to last. But we'll also take the small one off as well. So unhook it from the small, take it off the big, which does actually catch on. Oh look, if I can get you under here. There. Catches under there. So you want to try and unthread this away from that, or not showing you it at all. Apologies. Try. It's actually on a spring there. No. Just pry up a little bit with this not looped around that plastic part, or go to the side and take it off. So that one's off. This actually is not far off, but it's a lot thicker. So let's go around this to try and not get in there. Not easy to film. Oh, that's underneath there, but it's not underneath the plastic part. It will straighten itself eventually. I'm holding this at an angle to try and get myself around there. It's just that plastic part I just need to get around on. I can't even show you properly. There, it's just, there's a tiny gap which you have to get through anyway, and it will, you can get a little bit extra play there anyway. And down on the bench, round the small wheel. Pull around a few times so it runs straight. They will self-correct themselves, no problem. Second one comes here, round there and round the motor. Again, spin that round, it'll just self-correct itself. You don't need to do that, but it's just helpful there. So that's the cassette player done on this one. So everything works, eject, springs open. This is now a completed top. If you're thinking of screws, always try and make sure you know which screws where and what. This one was, there's 4 holding this board in. 2 small ones are the metal, very thin threads, go one there, one there. I think that one's got a washer on, that one might have got the washer. It does matter, but it seemed to fit that way around anyway. It might matter more when there's actually the lower case on here, I'm not quite sure, because this is a little bit more pronounced than the other one. And then there's a longer screw on there as well. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then in that hole there's a 5th one. Just watch where your wires are, and then we're all done. So, recap second, and then we'll get that reassembled, and then we'll go back to the board finally. Now, we're at this stage now. We've done the cassette players, everything's done, the casings, everything's ready to faff around with. The only thing I've got left to do is recapping both boards and this power supply socket. They're quite readily available, to be honest. So I've got this one, which has been in a parts bin, will fit in the power part there, but I've got too much solder on that anyway, so I have to kind of just smooth off a little bit, try and get it through the holes. As long as it's in, we should be fine. Doesn't want to go in too well. Warm the solder up a little, not to burn your hands. Ow, like I usually do. There she goes. Now that's nice and flush on the board. Bit of solder. If I was solder, I would be over here. So, be generous with the solder for the power supply anyway, because you want it to connect quite well. Always try and do this in a well-ventilated room. You don't really want to breathe in this crap. It's like anything really. It's like smoking. It's bad for you, okay? And all this stuff is bad, but yeah. So nice. Make sure everything's on. That's pretty good. There. Bottom one. So it flows and it looks like it's covering everything. Pretty good. I always solder with these and blow out whenever the smoke's coming towards me anyway. I mean, I can still taste it, I can still smell it, but it's, yeah, try not to. You can rig up a fan in front of you. It's like in the summer, I'll have a fan that's on behind me all the time, cool me down while I'm doing this sort of stuff. And yeah, it's pretty good. And it blows all this stuff away. And there's actually part on the top board there, which is touching. A little bit on there. Doesn't really need it. That's fine. So we should have replaced that power supply socket. The power PL6 on both of them. I said these are exactly the same board, it's just at kind of different times. Everything's ready now for the cap kit, which we have 2 of here. Now, when I get these from, oh come on, is it? I think it's at Retro Revival Shop, or if it's Petroleum, or if it's anybody who does the cap kits. They don't usually supply you with a diagram of what goes where, but luckily what I did quite a while ago was write down exactly what ones wants to go where. So what I'm going to do for one of these, so I'll put that one away for a second, is I'll put all these caps out, put them where they want to be. You'll put them through on the right way round. So positive is there, which if you look on the capacitor, which I don't think you can see from there, let's get you in a little bit. The white part there is the negative. Okay, my hands are dodgy, yeah, if I work for a living, get over it. The negative is there, so when you want to put it through onto a positive, it's usually the longer leg as well. But just make sure that the negative goes to the bottom. That might not be CO5, by the way. But as long as the line on the back of there goes to the negative, the one without the white line on the side of the capacitor goes to the plus on the boards, that's fine. I also need to do these things as well. So the TR5, which is down here, TR7, which is over here, and TR4, which is up here. So these want to be, like I said earlier, the markings on here shows like a half moon shape. That's, if you look at these, there's a flat side to it, which you'd think that is how it needs to go. It's a flaw on that. It's a flaw on the printing. So these want to go in upside down. These were made the wrong way around originally, which is quite funny. So it actually wants to go, if you can see there. Oh no, you can't. Upside down. So the flat side of the transistor wants to go up. So not following the silkscreen. So I'll be doing that, and I'll be doing the recaps, and everything will be fine. After that, we'll do a composite mod on this as well, because I've got the spare capacitors for that, or the spare transistor for that. So there's a lot of soldering left to do on these, seeing as I've got all of these to do. So what I'm going to do is, what I'll do is underneath the back of here, I'll put the capacitor in the right way, and I'll put, well, the right value. This might not be it, and I'll flatten down either side. Simple as. And there, that holds it in place for a while. It's out of the way on the board up here. It could go a little flusher to itself, flush to the board, but you fold over either side, then just solder and then snip off. It's easier than having these pointing directly straight up and then soldering around them. I think it looks better if they're like that. However, most times they will drop out. See, that's already that high up already on the board, so you need to hold things in place while you're doing it. If it's folded over to the side, yes, it just makes it a little easier to put all the capacitors in and solder it all at once, and then cut all the extra legs off afterwards. So yeah, a fair few caps to do, and transistors on both. So let's get on with this, and let's get this plod along. Now, the first board's recapped. I've got a little bit of a top tip on this one. Right, when you put all the capacitors through and bent all the pins over and you start to solder, what I have actually noticed is you put the soldering iron on, pretend, and the solder, and then it suddenly glugs like it's going through something. It is, because it's going down to the underside, and there's a lot of beads that are on top of where the capacitors are, which if you put too much in, you're going to end up short in between the sides of the capacitors. So just bear that in mind. And I've actually just noticed there's a scratch on here. I'm not sure if this is what I've made or not. There it is. So I don't... Oh no, I'm just trying to reach a brush. Yeah, there it is. I'm hoping that hasn't done anything. Look on camera. I don't think I've done anything. Although I could have knackered that trace up there. But I can't tell with the size of the camera that I've got. I'm not sure if they're actually touching or not. Something there. I think I have actually cocked that up a little bit. There's that on here as well. I think it's where I've been storing it and not realised I've accidentally scraped off some of the mask, and it's kind of done a little bit of damage. Although it might not have. See, in future, maybe be careful. It doesn't look like it's touching. I think I've got away with any cracks, but there is something definitely up here on this one. If you can see that, fine, this is on the video later. But at the minute, I can't really tell. So I'm going to stick it under the magnifying glass. See if these are actually separate. So I think the bit down here is perfectly fine. Just up here, here isn't. Okay. Let's get on with the other one. We can come back to this one. So, second one done. Well, first one done. Second, let's have a look at the board on this one before I actually do anything. So yeah, this is the part up here where there's absolutely nothing wrong with this at all. Absolutely spot on. So it's possibly where things have been on the bench, on the side bench as well. I don't know. So we've already done the transistors on this one. What I've actually noticed is the guy on eBay who sold me these, he sells them as plus 2 capacitors, 15S3, 1553, I don't know. Oh, issue 3, ISS3, which is an issue 3 board. He gives it, and then he's got 2 of these. 220 ultrafarad 16 volts. There's only one of these that goes on, and that's there on C5. So I don't know where he thinks the second one goes. Maybe power supply. I know it supplies this lot with everything for the tape deck and the grey issue 3, but you don't need to. There's only 17 capacitors on the board, but he sells them with an 1/8. Unless this is his mod for the composite mod. I know there's one you can use either a capacitor or use a transistor, and depending on what I've got, I'll mod both of these up. So you can get the video out of this, would then do a phono plug, an auxiliary AV out, and then you use the headphone socket, the audio out, as your audio for the TV, which is pretty good to use that for that. But I do recommend using the RGB. That with a decent SCART socket, and I can't flog them enough that they're from Retro Computer Shack. They're absolutely brilliant. These fit in so well. They're on a SCART on the other side. It uses the mono audio, but you can easily transfer that to a stereo anyway. But let me get this sorted out and ready for soldering so I can show you what either the mess or the fun is. So 2 seconds, well, for you 2 seconds, for me a little bit longer. Caps out, and let's put them into this board. Now I'm ready for soldering, so I'm with the soldering iron. I've just lost my scalpel. That's not going to be easy to find. Right, that's right behind the book. Fine. So cap's going like that. I'm still an extra one of these up, so I don't know what it is he's selling that needs an extra one of those. It might be the power supply. I might have to email him and see what's what. The back end of this will look like that. Lots of I've just pushed that one through too far again. See, I like to keep these things looking nice, and it doesn't help when you're a bull in a china shop. So, you know, it doesn't matter exactly how this looks, because it's going to get in a case. And to be honest, these are just going to be sold on eBay anyway, so it's not like I'm adding these to the collection anyway. But the back should look like that. So what I'm going to do is get some solder. I'm going to go through it. Now, there are on here 17 capacitors, so there will be 34 legs. Simple as. It's mathematics. So what I'm going to do is start soldering them now, just to do a few of them and then show you exactly how I solder. Everybody solders different. It's fine. I don't care. There's no one fast, sure way that they can solder. But on the leg, bit of solder, let it reach onto it, done. That's one done. Might be a bit too much on that, but yes. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. 6. One in here. 7. Was it nice and warm? The littlest contact you can get on there, the better. Here comes 9. By the way, 10 is the contacts, not the capacitors. That makes 12. See, I noticed on that bit there then, I put the heat on it and something came down. The heat went down to it. So the less contact on these, the better. 13, 14. Solder, what do you call this stuff now? I leave it over there. Oh, solder flux, there you go. Is a good idea, but quick enough to get on these and out. Is that 16? 17. Always make sure you're quite far away from another contact that you're not sure is going to be touching. Oh, I've actually lost count now. I think that might be 18 if I'm lucky. 19, 20, 21, 22, 24. Put a bit more on that one because it did glug down to the one below. Don't be afraid to move your board around. 5, 26, 27. There's basically solder on it anyway, so you're just adding on the fresh stuff to mix with the whatever's left on there where the desolder gun didn't take everything. I think I've definitely got the right amount. 31 and 32, and I missed this one here. Next 33, 34, a bit more on that one. Blow the smoke away, you don't want to breathe it in. I think that is how difficult capping a Spectrum is. I'm actually quite getting good at this. So all I have to do is cut away all the legs, just try not to go too deep, otherwise you'll cut into whatever threads, traces are behind there. See, that one I'm not quite sure of. I'm going to zoom in and see if I can find the one in front of my thumb. Is it meant to touch? Possibly. But it looks okay anyway. It's nice and steady with the cutters. Get rid of the extra. I mean, there's nothing entirely difficult about this. It's just basically this part now, when I'm cutting and all the extra parts of metal are springing off in different directions. If you want, wear goggles, or if you like I am, sit in front of the television too close when you're a kid and you'll need glasses. So at least that protects your eyes, but then they do go up and over. So enough of me waffling. Should have counted these as I'm going, shouldn't I, so I know exactly how many are supposed to be. If you remember from the beginning of the video, there is one of these which is, it does need the RAM checking. Well, one doesn't work on the RAM, so that's definite. But I have got 4 RAM chips, just in case. I mean, you could quite easily just pin all these back up again, as best you can, and just cut everything straight. They're pretty much soldered onto the board anyway, so it should be fine. Just going over, clip, 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 clip. Take a little bit of solder off, make it a bit more neater, I suppose. If not, okay, cut underneath it, cut away. I knew I'd miss one. Done. So that is how easy it is to recap. Oh, I just chucked them everywhere where I don't want to be. Aha, I knew I'd miss another one. Done. And that's just gone. See, the problem with little pieces of metal flying around, I've got a lot of electrical things in here with vents on, which if it goes behind, like television, and goes into the vent, and goes into the power supply, something will just go poof, and then it'll be non-working. So that's actually really pretty good. So all I need to do is clean that. That's already done and heat sinked underneath it, the compound. That's pretty good. And work out a composite mod for that. So we're doing pretty well actually. We're nearly there. We're really nearly there. So tidy up, get things sorted out, and then we're back to, yeah, back to nearly finished.